There are a few stories here. There's a human story of how people come together and create things. I always think there's magic possible when you have committed people with different perspectives from different places and different ways of doing things. And so we as a team are passionate about how to harvest the wisdom of the many, how to bring together what actually works as opposed to necessarily theoretizing, or to test theory through practice, to find practice that's effective. There's also a human story which is, by amazing coincidence, about 15 years ago, Cities Alliance, a very new, brand new Cities Alliance, funded a project that my then team did in City of Joburg. And that project ran for 10 years as a performance management system for Joburg from about 2001 to about 2011. But other South African cities caught on to the same idea. And in around 2012, there are a lot of other things that went on, but just to show the thread, how these threads connect together, old friends come back again. In around 2012, Kenya, which had had an allergy really to monitoring and evaluation, really started to think about how can we monitor, evaluate effectively. Have I lost you? Is that better? Okay. So Kenya was looking into how do we start to do M&E with our first proper multi-party election, and particularly after the new constitution was passed. And the next question I'd say is in here is, why do this? Why do this is because in Kenya there are 47 counties, not one. In Ghana there are 216 districts. There are not just this 13 that we work with in FCA. And one of the recurrent themes of Future Cities Africa is we work with a small number of cities, and governments reply and local government associations reply and say, we need to do everyone. We can't leave most behind. We can't just experiment. We really do need to scale up. It's a recurrent theme of this conference. So the next question is, can we do this? Can we do this? And so to answer that question in Kenya, Kenyans are very technically proud and smart. And so we brought a, where's Hubert? Where's Hubert? We brought a South African colleague up, and he just demonstrated what they do in South Africa. And so the young Kenyans, like just graduated, came and said, we can do that. The South Africans do it, we can do it. And we took those learnings and we've used them in Future Cities Africa. So those colleagues in the FCA teams and the focal points of the cities know that we've actually followed that process with Future Cities Africa with something called the Rapid Cities Resilience Assessment. But that's just one assessment, and what we've heard about in this conference is many examples of, if you like, knowledge tools. So one thing that a knowledge platform is, it provides a way to take a knowledge tool created for a few places and deliver it to many places. So that we answer the question, can we do this? Yes, we can. That's demonstrated. It's demonstrated that city focal points in all the FCA countries are able to use a knowledge platform to share and to share their results, to compare across them, to identify patterns and identify solutions and share solutions. So the answer, can we do this, the answer is yes. And then the next question is, how will we do this? And we've tried to capture highlights in this next few minutes of presentation. Do I need to do that? So this is an example. I'm trying to cover all the countries, the FCA countries. I won't cover all of them, but this is an example of a dashboard like the one in the video. Down the left-hand side are the indicators of the Rapid Cities Resilience Assessment. So these are questions. So a green in the line means great. Light green means very good. Red means very bad. Orange means pretty bad. So instantly we can see across these, the cities, the columns are the Ugandan cities in the FCA project. Now when we did this in the Gamma region, we also took the step of organizing all the people in waste management at one table. All the people by sector were organized by table. And as soon as they started to compare, they started to share and learn. Why is yours red? Are you just making it easy? Or do you know something we didn't know? Why is yours green? What process do you need? So it provides a way of discovering what works. Very practical way of discovering not what might work, but what's working in one city and other cities can use. a few screens. Hubert was going to demonstrate this, and we'd happily demonstrate to you at the table afterwards. This is the comparing the organizations, the cities in, that's also Uganda. I think that's Ghana comparison of the smart resilience indicators. And this last one is a simple dashboard. The point is we can gather information according to a knowledge tool. We can watch in real time. Sam Ronard, I watched as you entered the data from Uganda from my office in London at that time. And I watched when the Ghana team were doing it from Nairobi. So you can watch in real time. These things can be real time. And if we put the data into a knowledge platform, we can get all the analysis. We've talked a lot about the need, we talked earlier about the need for research to generate data. The other thing is we generate a lot of data and we throw it away again. Let's create, from everything we do, let's create a legacy of useful data for future evidence-based programming. The platform's supported by e-learning and knowledge tools, and so the whole idea is you don't need to visit for somebody to learn. From other projects, we've learned beyond doubt that people can learn at a distance to use a knowledge platform using remote and distance learning. Nobody asks, can we use Gmail without training? Of course you can. So can we do this? Can we do it at a distance? Can we do it at scale? The answer is yes. So that kind of summarizes. We did an assessment in one of the countries we worked in. It's not an FCA country. And their policy of M&E generated about 500 meters higher data pile. So it wasn't really sustainable. It wasn't really possible to get to an annual progress report in the 4 months that policy required. It took 17 months. And yet, if you simplify those templates and automate, you could reduce work. So this is a theme, automation and streamlining. There's no question from our experience that tools like this can pay for themselves just in saved resources and time and speed, but also freeing up the time of the experts that we've talked about. On the right-hand side, you see a budget template that Hubert has been working on with the counties of Kenya. How do we express in a way that engages the citizen? How do we express our budget progress? Oh, I've lost my time. This is an example of a municipal M&E or district M&E. It's the FOAT, Ghana FOAT, Functional Organizational Assessment Template. And we challenged Hubert and the team. Where is Hubert? He's there. A lot of you have met Hubert, but we challenged him, a colleague in Ethiopia, Hubert, and a colleague in London. They took the FOAT guidelines, the Ghana government guidelines, and they took a spreadsheet containing the results from the 13 Gamma region municipalities, districts. And in 24 hours, they turned it into a tool. So can we do these things quickly? Yes, we can. This is an example from Ethiopia. So I've shown you an example of M&E. I've shown you an example of FOAT is used for performance payment for results processes, as well as just for M&E of local governments. This is an example of the smarter measures of Ethiopia linked to GTP2. I think this is somewhat repetitive, and I'm eager to put up another video. The point coming out here, so what did we learn from the FCA? These common processes are the desire to implement the national plan and the city plan, performance management, the desire to do integrated M&E, and so all the numbers that we create, all the plans that we create are integrated. And across all the countries, a payment for results arrangement, those three, when they're locked together, can be much more efficiency, and the payment for results can be the driver of improved behavior, and as a side effect, we create the evidence that we need for evidence-based policy. So this is really a summary, that if we come into this with the vision that we need to work with all cities, all districts, all counties, it makes us think differently. We can't think about how many technical assistants does it take. If it takes this much technical assistance for 5 counties, how much will it take for 47? We've got to go away from that thinking. We've got to say, how can we work with a small number in a way that we learn to work better with all of them? So a vision, systems thinking, understand that these processes all relate to one government of Ghana, one country of Ghana, one country of Ethiopia, one country of Uganda. And so they are reflections of the same thing. We can simplify by understanding the system. and then understanding that processes should be created by data, should be created by processes. That generates knowledge and evidence. Good evidence allows us to make better decisions, better plans, better development towards, I'm not saying they lead to inclusive growth, I'm just saying we don't stand a chance of evidence-based decision-making unless we start at the top here and get these data processes right and integrate them. And that's what a knowledge platform can do for us. So what for? Real-time M&E, payment for results, implementation of plans, scaling up capacity, learning. Who for? Cities, networks of cities, particularly networks of cities. We should learn together, particularly all the cities in a country or a region, learning together, not requiring somebody else to teach or learn from one and pass on to the others, learning together, and how a knowledge platform and a knowledge platform standard. So what we looked at is what do we need to do in our knowledge tools to create tools that are scalable. And by doing that, to stream and automate. So we think, as a result, that it is possible to scale capacity building. It is possible to scale learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.